Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I apologize to you immensely for my sudden lack of beard. It's very disconcerting. Almost as disconcerting as the fact that it was 80 degrees out in New York City on November 7th today. The world is ending, but that's okay because we have the next hour, 90 minutes, whatever it is, uh, to discuss our favorite topic in the world, the one that always seems to lift our spirits these days, and that is our beloved Pittsburgh Steelers. Here with me, as usual, on the Thursday edition of Five Star Radio, is the legendary Mr. Steel Flyers. How you doing, bud?
Oh man, legendary. Well, I don't know about all that, but I think
You
you're
are
more
the
than
stuff
legendary.
of legend, my friend.
Well, thank you. Actually, I think you're more of the legendary one than I am. But
I am a champion of our time. You are a legend of our time.
all right,
Um,
I'll take that. And
uh,
and and Gage and Frame. Oh man,
they're the tag
they
team champs.
are
They're the tag team champs.
yeah the tag team champs, man. Because them guys, woo! All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, they're doing a great job. They always do. It's
By the
unbelievable.
way, thanks everybody for hopping on. Thanks everybody for joining us. You know what to do. Hit that like button, smash that subscribe, get over to patreon.com/5SMU and fork over your $4 and your $7 a month. Come on, you know what to do now. Go and do it.
Listen, it's $4 a month, $7 a month if you're really balling. We appreciate it. Get you access to my favorite part of this whole thing, truthfully, which is our Discord server. Honestly, it's so much fun. Um, yeah, I just, Austin says I sound a little bit off, but I don't know if he's talking about me or you, because I'm pretty sure my settings are right. It could be that I have my air conditioning.
Yeah, no, I think I sound all right too. Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, Austin. I'm trying to get by here without any teeth right now.
No, you
So.
sound, yeah, maybe that's what it is. Mine looks all good on my end though, so we'll
Yeah.
see if everybody else
Time to
complains.
go, but thanks for letting us know, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, he's still. Joe is saying sound is off too. Um, is it a problem for me or is it a problem for Steel Flyers? Sorry to have to do a little sleuthing.
I think
Sorry.
it might be echoing, I think.
Echoing. Steel Flyers is good, so it's just me, huh? Weird. Let me see. It still says it's coming from my
Hmm.
my mic.
Maybe you might need to.
Let me try. Is that better? Perhaps. Maybe that's better. Bear with us, folks. I don't know. I didn't change any
Technical
settings.
difficulties as we go through.
Settings.
Testing 2620. Maybe you might need to.
Sounds like I'm in the restroom. Maybe it's good. Good. All right. Well,
Doing good. All right.
I don't know. Whatever.
So you're in the restroom. Make sure you wash your hands and flush.
Yes. All right. I got it now. Sorry about that. Hey, some free watch time while we figure it out. Always an adventure on this day and age of the internet. You know, back in the day when I first learned production, you would have somebody like listening to the microphones and they would make sure it worked, and you'd have a guy with a camera, and now it's all just me doing all this at once. So
You'd be wearing an earpiece going, yeah, there's something going on with your microphone. We can't hear you. You know what I mean?
Well, how is everybody feeling about their Pittsburgh Steelers this week? I wonder, people in the chat watching, and obviously you Steel Flyers, like with a little bit of a week away, a little bit of a mini vacation with the bye week. Obviously, we went on
needed bye week, I think.
Definitely, and we went into it on a real high at 6-2. I keep kind of forgetting, like 6-2 is a good record. I mean, that's not like a good start to the season. That's like a good record. I mean,
like if the season ended today, they would be in one of the top seeds. We would have a home playoff game.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And so
if it ended today.
Yeah. And so, like, I don't know. I guess for me, that ultimately brings me around to the feeling of positivity. Like, I for once was like, yeah, this is a tough opponent with a quarterback who just has been unbelievable. I mean, really.
Coming up with the Commanders.
Yeah, I don't know if you've watched. I don't know if you watched them at all, but he has impressed me.
Yeah.
It takes a lot for me with a rookie quarterback. I'm very discerning with quarterbacks. Like, I'm not willing to be sold until I'm sold, and he just has. I mean, right away, just looked the part. It looks like he's a 20-year vet. I mean, it's unbelievable. And normally, in years past, I would just be dreading this game because I would just be like, I just don't think we're gonna have enough firepower. And now I'm sitting here watching, saying like, even if they put up 25 points, I think we can score on that D.
Here's the thing, though. That's kind of what my concern is because their defense is really pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay. They've got some good guys on the inside. They've got some good guys up over the top. Okay. They're one of the better defenses in the league right now. Right. So this game does kind of, it gives me a bit of pause, if I should say that.
Yeah.
Right. Because let's face it, we thought that, the beginning of the season was going to be a test for the Steelers. And then we thought, all right, now that we've made the quarterback change, how is that all going to go? And we went into the two New York teams and handled our business.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Just workmanlike, just took care of business. Not, I mean, for us, I think it felt amazing and exclamatory because it was just touchdown passes. I mean, really, we had the two best weeks. Say what you want about the Mason Rudolph end of the season, whatever, but there was the two best weeks of quarterback play that we've had since Ben's arm exploded in a row, and it was enthusiastic, and it leaves you feeling really positive, looking to the future for once, and that's really interesting and exciting, and I don't know. I feel good about the Steelers.
I'm curious to know how the viewership was for the last two shows, because you make a highlight show that actually had some highlights.
Yeah.
Hey!
Yes, I know. I did. And ironically, they didn't do that amazingly. They just did okay, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, because the Jets one, I still got screwed again on...
Yeah.
It wasn't letting me upload the full video. It was blocking it. So I had to do it piece by piece. And those did okay numbers each piece, but then I was able to upload the full video that week on like a Wednesday, and it did actually like really good, which I thought was surprising because everybody had already seen it if they wanted to. But then the Giants one, for some reason, Monday night games never really do well for me. My show works better when it comes out on Monday. Tuesday,
okay.
I don't know.
Right.
It's always been the case for me. Like, it just, you would think it would be the same, but it's usually lesser.
Huh. Because look, let's face it. I look forward to Mondays because I know there's going to be 5-star on.
Yeah.
Right. But instead, now we have to wait that extra,
I know it.
That extra 20 some hours now, but till we get the 5-star, because we had, okay, so now it's coming out on Tuesday, so it's clearly
it just makes it different. It performs differently. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why. I think Pittsburgh Dad comes out on Tuesday too. Like, you would think that would help it, but yeah, I don't know.
Usually you come out before he does.
Yeah, I do it on purpose.
No, I know.
Yeah, because I don't want anybody to think I'm... Because there's... When you do, like, a niche type of comedy on the internet like I do, where it's, like, how many people are really, like, making Steelers-related jokes every week, you're gonna
There's
naturally have
Yeah.
overlap, and I never want it to look like I copied something from him.
So that's why on our network we don't watch
Yeah.
really anybody else. We don't follow anybody else. You know what I mean? Because we don't want to be accused of exactly that. We don't want to be accused of copying something or taking somebody's ideas or things of that nature. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So we do the same thing, and it's I can appreciate that. You know what I mean? To where you have a better strategy for things. You know what I mean? To put it out like that. So
Of course.
I'm I'm really excited though about seeing the real Arthur Smith offense now with
Yeah.
with the Pittsburgh Steelers now with Russell Wilson at quarterback. Look, we you tried really hard to convince me of Strawberry Fields Forever, and
Yeah.
here's the thing: it was a good problem because the Steelers were winning, right? So they were still had a winning record, and then they were still able to make this change even with a winning record. I think it gives Justin Fields a lot to build on for the future for him.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? And then it also kind of gives the Steelers a look at Russell Wilson. I mean, this is what they brought him in to do,
Yeah.
right? We need you to extend the plays. We need you to be able to do the rollouts. We need you to be able to make them throws, and we need you to open it up and throw the ball down the field.
Yeah, and
We,
I mean,
we've
and he's done that instantly. I think I mean, it's been transformative how different and how much better the offense has been since he took over. And I mean, but my thing is that I still don't think that it was. I still don't think that I was necessarily wrong, if that makes sense, because
right. No, no, no.
I still think that Justin Fields was playing well, and I still
Yeah.
think that there's a lot of times where that exact situation plays out poorly, and it might have been not good. But I have you have to. I have learned in years to trust Mike Tomlin. For as much as I have problems with
Trusting Mike Tomlin.
trusting Mike Tomlin. But I have to acknowledge he's done this a long time. He's watching
Yeah.
this stuff at practice.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. I felt inversely. I felt the opposite about this last year when I was very frustrated in his very poor 3-game stretch in December, where I felt like I was watching Mitchell Trubisky play so unfathomably bad that I was like, there is no way that Mason Rudolph looks worse than this in practice. Like, there just is no way that was possible. And it took him, I don't know if it was a game and a half or 2.5 games. I can't remember how long it took him.
2.5 games.
Yeah, and it was just horrifying. And so that was a situation where I was like, I've seen Rudolph. Like, I know he's not great, but I also know he's better than this.
You see what he's doing now in Tennessee.
Yeah, he's doing okay. I don't know. I thought he was going to be better given the opportunity, but Tennessee's a mess. They got nothing over
Right.
there.
No running game.
Why did they break that down with Vrabel? Do you think that was wrong? I really think that they were like building something there, and I don't know. I thought Vrabel was going to be that coach. Yeah, I thought he was going to be the coach there for like 2 decades. Honestly, it seemed like they found their Mike Tomlin, which, whatever you want to say about Tomlin, for a franchise like that to like, get a guy where like this is like a foundational, like Dan Campbell is in Detroit, it means something. And it's just, it was very surprising to me that they moved on from him.
Well, here's the thing now, because we've had some coaching changes now already.
Yeah.
And you might start seeing that name circulate around.
You got to think, right?
I mean,
the Titans were good. I mean, the Titans were, for a couple years, like, arguably a second or third best team in the AFC for that little, like, 4-year stretch when the Chiefs first started being really good.
Exactly. Because they had a running game, they had a defense, they had, a guy that could throw the ball a little bit. You know what I mean? It's like, well, all right.
Yeah, I always
But
respected Tannehill. I always thought Tannehill was a pretty good player. He never got
pretty good
credit.
player,
Not
yeah.
not amazing, but like pretty good.
I mean, uh, like of all the quarterbacks that came out, what was it that came out his year? Was Jameis Winston one of the ones that
No,
came out his year?
I think Tannehill was a little earlier than that. You're thinking of
Okay,
Mariota came out at the same time as Jameis Winston.
right. But I wasn't sure if they had all
Yeah.
come.
No,
Three of them
Tannehill,
had all
because remember Tannehill was on the Dolphins for
a
like
couple years.
a
Oh yeah, that's
while.
right. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, I
he was
forgot
on.
he was on the
Yeah,
Dolphins.
he was on the Dolphins for like almost a decade. I feel
Okay,
like. Yeah.
okay, all right. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I thought he had come out at that same time, but
I think he was around
all
the
right,
same time as like before. I don't know, but like 2012 maybe.
right.
But that brings us to Julian Mack in the chat, who says, "How do we feel about Arthur Smith, who was the OC, of course, of those very successful Titans teams?" And I gotta say, I feel really good, and I feel like the biggest beneficiary, besides the fan base, has been Najee Harris,
There you go.
who just looks fantastic. I mean, he looks like Derrick Henry, and you love to see it.
You know, here's the thing. And I I have to believe this, okay? Because a number one draft pick running back has been as good as Najee has been since he's come to the Steelers. You know, 1,000-yard seasons. He's touched the ball over 250 times every year he's been here. You know what I mean? He has the production, and he's not like quote unquote wearing down or breaking down. Like you don't see him. You know,
Right.
knock on wood, you don't see him injured a lot. He's available a lot. You know, he's
He's
played a lot of games. It, you know what I'm saying?
he's
And
always
so
available. Yeah.
I think with the reason why they didn't sign him to his fifth-year option was because of they brought Arthur Smith in here, and they were trying to see how was he gonna fit in or settle into this offense. I'm at a point right now where I would be a little upset if they didn't necessarily sign him to at least some kind of 2-3 year deal.
Yeah.
You,
But
you know what I mean?
I'm still, I mean, I hear that and I agree, but I also think that the reality of it is at that moment has passed,
Bye bye.
and I don't blame him. I
Yeah.
they didn't treat him right, and I've been calling this
No.
out since the start. I think he has gotten the short end of the stick for a long time, and he's had to answer to the media constantly for stuff. And I always said that people tell me, "Oh, it's the team votes on it, blah blah blah." It's weird that Najee was a captain as a second year player and he hasn't continued to be a captain. Because I listen to him talk, and he's the most impressive guy in the locker room. And for in terms of like how he's goofy and he makes jokes and stuff, but in terms of how he like processes things, the way he'll constantly be like, "Look, you're always trying to like put us in like one versus the other." He's like, the whole team isn't playing good enough or whatever it is, you know. And I don't know. And I think he really took it as a real insult that they didn't pick up his fifth year option, and I don't blame him. And I would at this point be very surprised if he was back after this year, unless they franchise him.
That could be the other. That could be the other thing that they're looking to do. You know, would be to franchise him.
Yeah.
Because they didn't pick up his fifth-year option, so that would be something they're looking to do.
Yeah.
Um, I'll be honest with you. I really love Jaylen Warren, aka Electric Meatball.
Yeah.
I that is the best freaking name ever, nickname ever for a running back, the Electric Meatball. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, well, you know.
Right?
I put in the work. I put in the work. You know,
right?
nobody can but combines adjectives and food like I do, of course. No, he's great, and I think and I think they see a guy in Warren who can do everything, and they're gonna bring him back and pay him $1.5 million next year to take 400 touches, and they're gonna be fine with it. And
Yep.
do I love that? No, I don't. I think that the Steelers do fall behind in some ways there as far as like the modernity of the NFL. I think they take care of certain positions like edge rusher and quarterback, but I think they've rightfully earned a
Historically,
little
they
bit up.
haven't really been. Yeah.
They've earned a little bit of a reputation. I remember back since I was a kid, even in the '90s and stuff, people would say the Steelers were kind of cheap, and you know, I think that they are a little bit.
Did you see? Joe Vlogo's or
The angry
vlogs?
hamster.
The angry hamster.
Yeah, yeah, he does have hamster energy.
He does, man.
He does, because he's just so small and
He
compact.
is, like he's a little bowling ball,
Yeah.
man. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Well,
the angry hamster.
and it yeah, I mean, look at this. Let's do this as an investigation because Gage points it out in the chat. You know,
Yeah.
the Willie Parker, right? I mean, they ran the wheels off of him.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, literally. I mean, that was a case of like that was early days Tomlin where he was like, "I'm gonna give you 600 touches, and you're gonna rise to the moment, or you're gonna break your leg in St. Louis." And you know,
They tried to do that with the bus too. When he first got there, when he first got there, man, he was featured back.
Oh yeah, but that was a different era though. Back then, guys like that, if you were a star running back, you were gonna get 350 touches. I mean,
but that was Cower.
mm-hmm.
Okay, so but historically, Pittsburgh has always ground their running backs to a nub.
Yeah,
I mean, all the way back to Franco and Blyer. You know, even though they're Hall of Famers, and even though, you know, not too many people remember that Franco finished with the Seahawks.
Yeah.
And not with the Steelers.
I still say it at this time that they did another guy wrong too. LeVeon Bell, okay, was out here catching 100 passes.
Okay, but he did himself wrong.
He did himself wrong by not taking the 570 that came later. But they did him wrong by putting him on the franchise tag for even 1 year. Are you kidding me? The hits that they were asking that guy to take, and they're going to say, oh, yeah, here's another year of your prime, and we're not going to guarantee anything. No, they should have signed him. He should have gotten a deal before his last year of his rookie deal, and they tried to string him along, making him like he was probably making like what? Somebody can look it up in the chat. Gage, look it up. Like what was Le'Veon Bell's rookie? Because he was a second round pick. So I mean, hit that last year. I bet.
Second round picks get. I think their contract is like $3 million a year instead of $4 or $5 million.
Whatever. I think they all escalate, like they go as the deal goes. But whatever that was, his fourth year, 50. I don't remember the exact scenario, but he probably had 400. He probably had 1,600 touches in his first 4 years as a Steeler. I agree, Gage, that he should have taken the deal after that. He made a mistake there. I totally agree. But the Steelers should have signed him after his third year is what I'm saying. They did the same thing to him that they did to people don't want to hear this, I'm sure, because I'm just, making fun of the Steelers. But they did this to, I've always called it out, they did this to Mike Hilton. Mike Hilton was important to that defense, and they were lucky to have him on an undrafted free agent deal where it's like, they could kick the can down the road and pay him $700,000 or something. And they were asking him to blitz, and he was playing more snaps than anyone else. Like, the guy, he's basically a middle linebacker at 5'8". Sign him, pay him, give him money.
Easy Rollins dropping a $2. Hey.
Appreciate you.
Bell failed the drug test, and
well, he got suspended.
Right. You know what I mean? So he failed in a lot of
actually, to
things.
be fair, I don't think Bell failed a drug test. I think Martavis Bryant failed drug tests, but I think Bell got suspended for smoking weed, like because they got pulled over. But I don't think it was a failed drug test, like during the season or anything like that. I could be misremembering, but whatever.
Yeah, right. But okay, well, well, how about this, man? How about if you remember this? remember to go over to patreon.com/5SMU and drop your $4 into the bucket every month, so that you can get all of the great stuff that the main man 5 Star puts out. Also, all the great stuff that Gage and Train put out, man. Because look, you also get access to the Discord, which has been amazing, especially during the games. You get to bother this guy 24/7. That's worth the price of admission alone. Right? So hop on over to patreon.com/5SMU and get yourself signed up.
Appreciate that plug, man. Legendary transition as per usual. The 5-star sirens are kicking in the background. I'm sure everybody. Yeah. So I was looking over some of the Washington football team's stats. This is the most annoying siren ever. It's literally just like bloop bloop bloop. Oh my God, go away. So Washington's offense has obviously been amazing, and the quarterback has been tremendous. You can't ask for any better. They're doing a good job under Dan Quinn. Third in points scored. That's pretty awesome. But, the defense, you mentioned the defense. The defense in total yards is 14th in the league, 11th in points scored. But I see one area where they're going to get exploited by the Arthur Smith offense, which is they're 29th in the league in rush yards given up. And so
that's screens.
And that's only on 20th in the league in rush attempts given up. So that means that teams are having a lot of success on the ground against
running
them.
the ball. Okay. All right. Well, there you go then.
That's where you got it. Because I'm looking here. Last few games they played at Giants, 149. I'm starting to think, by the way, that running back that the Giants have that everybody was like making fun because he was a former receiver, he might just be really good because he's had some really big games, that guy. Giants rushed for 149, Bears rushed for 168, Panthers rushed for 214, Ravens weirdly only rushed for 52. I don't know how that could be possible. But the Browns rushed for 215. The Cardinals rushed for 216. The Giants in the first game rushed for 215. So they're
7-2.
Yeah, that's really. Oh wait! I'm looking at rush offense. I'm a liar. Oh my god. Still pretty bad though. Pretty bad. They gave up 164 to the Giants, 202 to the Bears, 176 to the Ravens. 181 to the Cardinals, so pretty poor. It seems like they're getting run all over the place.
And it's not like those teams are predominantly rushing teams, although now
Baltimore,
with Baltimore being with Henry now and Lamar Jackson, but for the most part, you know what I mean? It's like, all right, well,
listen, they got a quarterback who's completing 71% of his passes, 9 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. And he's got 459 yards on the ground. I mean, what do you do with that? That's amazing. You're going to get a lot of first downs. You're going to control the ball.
So what you do is you put Justin Fields back there on the practice squad and make him be the Commanders quarterback, and you run your defense against that, because that kind of sounds like what's going on there in Washington.
Oh, yeah. Justin Fields come in handy this week.
Yeah. Hey, I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, so now let me ask you this question now, okay? So you said we're going to get to see some Arthur Smith being able to exploit. The kind of plays that you think he's going to be able to exploit are going to be those rushes to the outside, the rushes up to the middle, and it's also going to potentially be some of those rollouts that we might see. You might even get to see some RPO action. You know what I'm saying? Because we've seen that already, but you might see more of it now because we're going to have an opportunity with that. I think we're going to see more screens.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I also think what I thought in the offseason, which is I want to see and think they would be smart. I want to see a formation that has Justin Fields in it, whether he's the only quarterback on the field or one of two. I think that gives you a lot of really interesting things that you can do in the red zone, because I'll tell you, as we're talking about this kid, Jaden Daniels, and, we talk about Lamar a lot. By the way, I'm really excited to watch Bengals and Ravens tonight. It's like the first time I'm excited for a Thursday night game in I don't know how long.
Yeah, because they haven't really been.
They're terrible. It's a terrible product. I hate Thursday night football. I don't like it. For me, it's not, it's another night of football. I'm just like, I don't need it. You can't play football on 3 days rest. It's just not.
See, I'm lucky because usually Thursday nights are hockey nights.
Yeah.
Right. So Wednesdays and Thursdays, I'm usually watching hockey.
If I had anything else to care about, I would. But the Knicks just played last night.
Okay.
The Penguins are doing really bad, right?
Well, they're not exactly lighting it up.
Yeah.
In fact, both of the Pennsylvania teams are. I mean, Philadelphia is like kind of right now fighting for #1 draft pick for next year.
Oh, yeah.
and Pittsburgh is just not really putting it all that well together.
Don't they feel a lot like the Steelers? I mean, I know you're not like a Penguins fan, obviously, but they just the feel of it. It feels a lot like the Steelers at the end of Roethlisberger, where you were like, I don't want to kick this out, but I also just don't know if the ceiling is there anymore.
Well, because you're looking at the end of Malkin, you're looking at the end of Crosby.
But
right?
Crosby, of all those guys, though, is still really good. I think my perception is the other two aren't as good anymore, and they don't have a goalie. But Crosby, I think, is still really good, right?
He is, but he's getting long in the tooth.
Yeah.
But he's still, I mean, I'll take an old Crosby all day long, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? As long as Crosby is playing for the Penguins, that team is going to be relevant. Yeah. And they will always be in the conversation as long as he's on that team. The moment he's not on that team,
yeah, it's different.
That's a whole different conversation.
Somebody in the chat, Jefferson C, says Thursday Night Football is my favorite. I would love to hear your reasoning for that, Jefferson, because I mean, like I said, I'm looking forward to watching it tonight. But in general, I don't know. Thursday for me is like, I usually have something to do. Like usually I watch something with, a movie or something.
We're doing this usually Thursdays.
Yeah, Thursday, yeah, in the evening. But like, I don't know. I try to I don't know. I try not to dedicate every single night to watching sports. I don't want to be one of those guys in a marriage,
Okay. I mean, like I have friends that watch divorce levels of hockey.
See, that's my deal though. Like, so all the other teams I care about, playoffs is one thing, but like, I'm not going to say, I can't do a thing for any sport besides the Steelers. Like the Steelers are the only one where I'm allowed to be like, no, I can't, I'm not going to that thing. Like I would never do that for any of my others, because you can't, I personally, especially baseball. Can you imagine being like a diehard baseball fan and literally, if they go to the playoffs, it's more than half of the days of the year that you're like, oh, babe, I can't go to, the restaurant tonight because the Yankees are playing. Like, no.
There's 162 games.
No. It's one thing to do that for football. It's 16 days a year. I don't think that's insane. But for to
basketball, basketball's 82 games. Hockey is 82 games. So that's 3 to 4 games a week.
Yeah, no, it's tough.
For 8 or 9 months.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
That's why you got to have one of my biggest relationship hacks. Every man that's in a long-term relationship should have, it's blacking out, it's my iPad. Everybody should have an iPad, because then you can like do a thing together, but you just kind of throw the iPad on the TV, on the, the coffee table, and you take, you just kind of see what's going on with whatever game that you're checking out, and it gets to be the fourth quarter, and you're like, all right, let's like pull this in a little closer for a better look. You know what I mean? Relationship hacks from 5 Star. You're welcome.
Right? I've set up a whole separate TV, computer, and everything. So if she wants to do that, she can go right on ahead and she can watch whatever she wants. She puts her earbuds in and boom.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So,
but yeah,
there's a couple things we do like watching together, and one of them is this Pittsburgh Steelers.
Ooh, I love that. Yeah.
And I got to tell you something, man. This year, I was really, really skeptical about how the team started. I was really questioning the judgments of those to be. Why are you starting this player? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? I understand why these things happened. I understand why these things needed to happen. And now we're kind of seeing, okay, this is what we were trying to do, and now here we are now, a couple weeks down the road, and we finally get to try it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody else made a comment that I heard about too, and they were surprised about the fact that there was no special packages for Justin Fields.
Oh yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
But he had a little hamstring last week, so I think that they just didn't want to play him. I think he was actually, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think he was the backup last week. I think he was a third string.
Yeah, he was, because of that hamstring. In fact, he was he was a participant in practice.
Yeah, he's full participant this week. Yeah.
This week. Yeah. Right. And Frazier.
Yeah, he's
coming back.
Yeah.
Right. Our center.
Yeah,
I mean,
and Nick Herbig too. I mean.
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah. Hey, it can only mean good things when you have offensive linemen returning. Okay, especially now that run game has been established. Do you know what I mean? Especially now that there's a quarterback back there that's throwing the ball around instead of trying to run. It's a lot harder on an offensive line when your quarterback is running, because you don't always know that the quarterback is running. And that's why there was a lot of times where there was ineligible receivers downfield, and you saw a lot of those penalties, because the offensive line doesn't have eyes in the back of their head. They don't know when, Justin Fields going to duck and run. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, I agree. But I do think, yeah, to your point, like, having a package for him, especially in the red zone, I think it really is smart, because he's honestly, I mean, such a dynamic runner with the football, and that's what I was blinded by in the first part of the season, and that's what I was so excited by. It was like, I just hadn't seen a Steelers quarterback do that in so long. But I can acknowledge that the ceiling, if this is what Russell Wilson's gonna be, then the ceiling is just infinitely higher. I mean, all of a sudden I can see this team going into Buffalo and winning a game and not laughing at the possibility of that happening, And
it might even be adverse weather too, and I wouldn't necessarily have a problem. I mean, I can see that.
His arm looks great. That's the thing you always worry about. You're like, okay, their lower body is diminished, they can't run like they used to. But then you worry, like, how is the arm strength going to be? And his arm strength looks the same as it's ever been.
Like he hasn't missed a beat. That was something else that I saw a lot of the talking heads say. In reality, it's been over a year and a half since he's actually suited up and played a game in anger.
Yeah.
Because he got benched in Denver and the whole 9 yards, and spent the whole year basically, watching somebody else play.
It was like 10 months. He got benched at the very end of the season.
Okay.
So,
but it still was quite a long time since before he was playing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you get the injury in training camp, and that sets you back, however long it's setting, a couple months, right, till he was able to be right enough to come out and play.
Yeah.
So I'm also really liking how this defense is starting to pull together. I'm liking more of what we're seeing, especially off the edge, now that Alex Highsmith is back. Thank God.
Yeah.
Right. Not that it wasn't that horrible when he was out, but you can definitely tell
it's noticeable
when he's in the game.
It's noticeable. In my opinion, he was the biggest missing factor from the Colts and the Cowboys losses. They couldn't stop the run because teams would just run at that side for as much as, and I said it at the time too, for as much as everybody is like, I was hearing so many people being like, oh, Nick Herbig's a better pass rusher than Alex Highsmith. And I was just thinking, you don't realize what Highsmith does against the run, though. Because just like Bud before him, he's a beast. I mean, he's a big guy, and you just can't teach that.
Thick.
You can't teach
Thick
like
yeah.
Nick Herbig could try his damnedest for the rest of his career, and he'll never be as good at stopping the run as Bud Dupree will be in his 12th year, because he's just not built that way. He might be a better, faster pass rusher. He might get around the edge faster, all that kind of stuff. But the stuff that I think Alex Highsmith is probably, he's probably the third or fourth, maybe at worst fourth most tough to replace member of that defense, because he's just, you don't have guys like that on the bench.
I'd put him third.
Yeah,
I'd put him third, because you can't replace the likes of T.J. Watt. You can't replace the likes of Cam Hayward, and you really can't replace the likes of Alex Highsmith. Look,
would you put him ahead of Minka on that list?
Yeah, I would. Right now, I would. And the reason why is because I think we have some guys back there on the back end that could step into the breach.
Yeah, you could put Cam Sutton there and ask him to play free safety.
Or Edwards or you okay, right? But you let's face it, Herbig is not even remotely close, right? And Queen doesn't play that side.
Yeah.
Right. And he would get dominated because he's not built that way neither.
No. Well, that's why I love the Preston Smith pickup. That was very very unexpected. I didn't expect them to reach out and find an outside linebacker, but I'm really glad they did, and I think they've learned from past mistakes, because that position group has been very minimally stocked.
Ever since Shazier.
Yeah,
ever since Shazier.
Well, yeah, I'm talking especially just the outside position, where it's like, they basically, except for the 1 year where it was Bud, TJ, and rookie Alex, it's usually just the two starters and then a huge drop off, like a dramatic drop off
for the two guys in the middle.
Yeah, and I'm saying, like, if one goes out for injury, I'm saying the backup outside linebackers, like that's. And I think that was a case this year, but I think that bringing in Preston Smith, this guy's like a real professional. He's not going to be great, but he's going to be able to stop the run. He's going to be able to, get some good pass rush in. I think it was a great pickup. I like their trade deadline, honestly.
I mean, but they also got another wide receiver.
Yeah.
Right. So what do you think about this cat from the Jets? I mean, he got a ringing endorsement from Aaron Rodgers as a send-off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. Listen, I like it. Mike Williams is a guy that I've had my eye on for a while. He's a pretty good player.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people realize this because he's been injured a little bit, but last year he didn't have a good year. He only played 3 games and he had 141 yards and a touchdown. Or I don't know if a touchdown, no touchdown, but he had, let's see, as a rookie, he had 43 catches, 664, 49 catches, 1,000, 48 catches, 756, 76 catches, 1,146 yards. And I don't know how many touchdowns. Why is they not showing me touchdowns? But
that's
a big
getting
year.
Better productive wise.
No, I mean that's a good year. That was his 2021, and then he had a year of 900 yards, and then he had the down year. I mean, the guy's a talented player. I don't know. I felt like I saw a lot of people kind of being like unexcited about it, and I kind of felt like they weren't gonna trade for, they weren't gonna trade for Cooper Kupp. Like that wasn't.
I was just gonna say that ain't gonna happen.
That was just never gonna happen. But this is a guy who, that second year he had 664 yards, but 10 touchdowns. The year he had 1,200 yards, he had 9 touchdowns. You have 1,150 yards and 9 touchdowns in the NFL. You're capable. You're capable.
That's a good receiver.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You
No.
know, that's averaging like 875 yards or
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
that's averaging like a 85 yards a game,
Yeah. No, and I
right?
mean, so it's a good pickup, and I mean, I think there's always going to be people that are like, oh well, you know, they gave up a 5th-round pick, and you know, Baltimore only gave up a whatever pick for Deontay Johnson, and I hear that, but at the same time, fans in the internet age overrate the value of late draft picks so much. Not if something after the 3rd round in the NFL draft even pans out to be a contributing member of your roster, that's a win. Like, it just 4th, 5th, 6th, I don't care. Just get a player. Get a player. I don't care. I'm not losing sleep over a 5th round draft pick. I'm just not.
You know, it says it right out in the numbers. Once you get past the 3rd round in the NFL, your chances of making it are about between 8 and 13%.
Yeah, it's, I mean, you know, 4s maybe more often, but by the time you get to 5, it's a crapshoot. It really is. You don't know. I mean, how often? I mean, every year. I mean, I could just name guys off the top of my head. I remember the Steelers drafting DeMarvin Leal, Isaiah Loudermilk, blah, 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 Dan McCullers. All these guys that, like, you know, you see them on paper and you're like, wow, why is this guy a 5th-round pick? He checks all the boxes. This is going to be such a steal. Who is that guy, Sutton Smith, that, like, fullback / middle linebacker guy?
Yeah. And even to this day, like, you still rarely see them on the field. Even those guys, you just Laudermilk and
you know what I mean? Because there's a reason that they're a 5th or 6th round pick. Like, you could be a 6. If you're 6'10" and you're reasonably athletic, you can find a way to professional basketball. But that doesn't mean you're going to be Shaq. You gotta want to be Shaq, you know. You don't just wake up and get out of bed and be Shaq, you know.
You can't just let the 6'10" and 200 pounds let that be all that you are. That's just not how it works. It
doesn't mean you're gonna be good at it, you know. And yeah, I mean, 5th round pick.
Football is an abomination.
Yeah, and the 5th round pick. But I do have to admit, I hate how good of a move that is for Baltimore getting Deontay for nothing. I mean, you can't knock that. Say what you want about Deontay. Deontay's a good player, man, and he gets open, and he's frustrating. I mean, he's very frustrating to be on your team. I won't lie about that. But he's a good player, and if you got nothing invested in him, I mean, shoot, it gives you a weapon. They're stacked on offense. They are.
So that's what I was going to say. First of all, shout out to Jefferson C. as to why he doesn't or why he likes Thursday footballs. And I'm with you, man. He said Sundays is for family and church, so he rarely gets to catch the games live. Look, let me just tell you here's what I do, Jefferson. I go to church and I record the games, and then I wait until, I don't know, maybe 2:30, 3 o'clock, turn it on, so then I can fast forward through all the commercials, right?
I see.
And then what I'll do, right, is maybe Sunday night after church, I might rewatch the game again, only I'll just fast forward a little bit more because I only want to be watching certain things. So I watch the game sometimes, usually 2 or 3 times. But that's why I do it. I record the game so I can fast forward, rewind. This is the game coverage. This is what I'm watching. That's how I learn. That's how I see, tendencies, things like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Game hacks, DVR.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, or you could just, like, invent a show where you have to obsessively watch it 15 times to make a TV show for YouTube, like I do.
No comment.
I've seen every game that I've done a show for at least 4 times because it takes me at least 3 cut throughs to make it, and then I have to QC it, so it's at least
Exactly.
at least 4 times through, and that's by usually by Monday morning, which is insane. It's insane. And if you appreciate that I do that, you should go over to what's the Patreon.com.
Patreon.com/SMU.
I forgot my own URL for a second. That's how tired I am. I told you I was tired before we got on.
I know.
I'm so beat.
So we're gonna try something here, man. I want to try this.
Okay.
I want to try this, right?
Okay.
So we reached out. Well, I reached out to. There's a local place in Pittsburgh that's probably one of the best diners that I've ever been to. Right?
Love a diner.
Okay, right. So look, even though I was a chef for many, many years, and I went to school in Pittsburgh, but
I don't think the audience knows that you're a very accomplished professional chef.
Really? Well,
has it ever come up before?
I don't know.
All right, well, there you go.
Well, yeah. So I actually got a degree and studied and worked in the islands and did, and I did it for 20 years, you know. But at any rate, well, I'm gonna try this now. And thanks for taking me off the tangent.
Oh,
there,
I'm sorry. Well, I'm sorry. I wanted to give you your flowers. I mean, it's an exciting thing. It is, right? I champion my friends, but go off.
Just like we try to champion you too, man. Course, you know what I'm saying? Right? This is why I love doing this. This is why I look forward to this every Thursday and get disappointed and feel bad when I miss Thursdays, because this is doing this show with you guys, being part of this, being part of the audience that's out there, with Gage and Frayne and all the stuff that's going on here, man. This is a good thing here. Okay? And the fact that I get to be part of this, I feel very lucky and blessed. So thank you for putting up with my
of course.
You know what.
Of course.
So I reached out to this place and said, hey, we would like to, do a little, read, sponsor, whatever. And they said, well, we kind of already signed our contracts for this year. And I said, all right, well, so we'll try to swing around for next season. But I want to lay this on you guys, okay? So just bear with me here. Are you going to a Steelers game or visiting the Steel Town? Well, then get your belly on down to Kelly O's Diner now in 3 locations. The OG Strip District, Warrendale, North Hills. If you are in the Burgh for a Steeler game or just for a visit, then get yourself on over to the best breaky joint in the city. Stop on in to Kelly O's, featured on Guy Fieri's Triple D's, diners, drive-ins, and dives for all your hunger needs. From Kelly O's famous sausage and gravy and biscuits, which I personally had the opportunity of partaking with, and I can truly attest to the awesomeness of that, turkey pot pie, or their famous Pittsburgh chili, along with weekly specials and the best breakfast in Pittsburgh. Get the best service with a smile and a bottomless cup of joe at all your Kelly O's locations. Trust me, your belly will thank you. There you go. That's my first.
We appreciate you, and shout out to Kelly O's. I got to get there next time I get down to the Burgh. It's been a minute, but I love a good diner. That is like my whole thing. All my friends know my obsession with diner coffee. I copy that from one of my favorite directors, David Lynch. He's just like obsessed with diner coffee, and he used to go to Bob's Big Boy like literally every day for breakfast. He won't cook at home. That's like a weird thing that he does. And but I as a creative, oftentimes before projects, like if I was gonna have a shoot day where I was gonna ask my close friends to act in something for me, that would always be the start of the day. Is like, all right, we go to the diner, get some breakfast, some coffee, some pancakes, and that's the thing where it's like, oh, you buy that because it's like $30 or something like that. And
for all 20 of you.
Go ahead, get the hash browns, because you're not paying them anything for 12 hours of work.
Get that extra couple slices of bacon.
Yeah, go out. You're gonna need it because I'm not giving you a break. No, but I love a diner. It's one of my favorite things. But somebody in the chat wants to know what your favorite dish to make is.
Oh, favorite dish. Well, let's see. I'm mostly Italian and German. I've been trained classically. I've worked under a Taiwanese master chef. So my most favorite thing to make is barbecue.
Ooh.
I do ribs. I do pulled pork. Right. That's my favorite thing to cook.
I love a good barbecue, man.
Oh, mama. Let me tell you something. I make ribs. It takes 3 days.
Oh yeah, you gotta let them marinate, or do you smoke them?
So I don't have a smoker. I wish I did. I'm trying to get together the stuff to build one, but I have to get permits and stuff for my house and all that.
Yeah.
But at any rate, but here's what I do, right? So for ribs, first you have to marinate the ribs. Then you have to put a rub on the ribs.
Of course, yeah.
Right? Then you low and slow for many, many hours until you can pull the bone out.
Yeah.
Right? Then close them all up and put them in the fridge. Let them get cold. We'll see you tomorrow.
Okay.
Tomorrow we're gonna fire up the grill.
Does something
and
to
we're gonna
proteins.
throw them racks on that grill,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna have some sauce that I made, and you slap that on there. Oh man, I'm here to tell you, my pulled pork. One of my best friends, when his daughter graduated from high school, said, "Hey, Chef Ron, we need you to come on over here and make some pulled pork." Dude, I made 120 pounds.
That's the
Of
best.
pulled pork. I had 3 coolers full of pork butts.
That's the best, man. That was that's amazing. I love, yeah. I mean, I love cooking too. I'm not a professional chef like you, but I'm pretty skilled. Both my wife and I are pretty skilled in the kitchen, and yeah, like last Christmas, my sister and I hosted it like for the first time, because my dad passed away, and I was like, okay, we're gonna kill it. Like, my sister found like a serious butcher and got like an unbelievable, prime rib, like gigantic. So Beth looks up like how to do this. Like, she did this like salt crust thing, where it's like, you case it up in all the herbs and all that kind of stuff, and we cooked it perfect. It was unbelievable. And my family's Italian, so you got to have the classic Italian stuff. I love it. It looks beautiful.
That's the ribs.
Yeah, and I my thing is I love making like fresh pasta. I love rolling out fresh pasta. I'm really good at it's one of my I'm really good at it.
So one of your specialties is homemade. Now, do you make gnocchi too?
Oh yeah, I mean that's easy. That gnocchi is that's like peasant. That's like I have potatoes in the fridge. I'll just mix them with some flour.
Do you use the ricer?
I don't use the ricer when I make gnocchi. Because usually when I make gnocchi, I'm just using leftover mashed potatoes. That's like
okay.
Because I don't ever go out of my way to make them. Because I usually roll like
no. That's exactly how you're supposed to do it. But I would actually advise you to invest in the ricer because it adds a little. It gives that
a little texture.
Well, no, it gives it that airiness.
Oh,
it gives it
the
that
lightness.
fluff.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're ricing the potatoes instead of like grinding them and smashing them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Or you know what I found works with that? This is just a cooking podcast now. I was going to say I've used the 00 flour for that, and it kind of helps it be a little lighter too.
Yep.
All right. Enough.
Here we go.
That looks so good. I'm getting so hungry now.
Those are little mini crab cakes.
Yeah. Well, no crab cakes because that's a Baltimore thing. No good. We're not allowed to talk about crab cakes on 5-Star Radio.
Well, but see, I actually learned how to make crab cakes in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Oh, great. Well, that's fair.
At the Monterey Bay Fish Grotto.
Where do they catch the crabs in Pittsburgh?
Well, they come in a they come in a can.
No good. Can I just say something that's gonna anger all my audience? I love Pittsburgh. I really do. but some of the food takes I hear from some of my fans in Pittsburgh is not a great. It's not a great culinary city. No offense.
Actually,
there's great restaurants. There's great restaurants, but I mean, like, the food element of Pittsburgh has always been very bizarre to me. It's very weird.
I'm with you on that. I know exactly where you're going with that too.
It's weird.
Let me just say this: of all the cities in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia are the culinary meccas of Pennsylvania.
Course. Yeah, I mean, they're culturally, that's like, yeah, of course.
All right. But who on their right mind thinks that it's good to put French fries in a salad? Excuse me.
It's no longer a salad.
It's right.
It's no longer a salad, guys. It's not.
The next thing I had to have a problem with was you go to Primanti Brothers, and when you ask them to keep the slaw and the French fries off the sandwich, you're basically ushered to the door.
Oh my God! Everybody, we just lost every person that ever listened to us. They hate us now. I don't care. It's just a weird food city. That's all. It's a strange place to eat.
No, but I'm not kidding. When I first got there, and they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna order some takeout," and I was like, "Oh, okay." And I'm looking at the menu.
Yeah.
Right, and it was like a pizza joint.
Yeah.
You know, I'm thinking, all right, cool pizza joint, Stromboli. You know, that's what I was looking at. And I looked down here and it said steak salad with French fries.
Yeah.
And I went,
they love it.
All right. And then I looked over at another menu, and there it was again, steak salad with French fries.
Speaking of French fries, and this is the last food thing, I swear. You know what's a great food city? Is Montreal. Montreal is a great place to eat. Have you ever gone to Montreal?
I have not had the privilege yet.
Montreal is... Somebody once told me it's like Europe that you can drive to, and that's very true. Montreal's a cool city to eat food in, man. Definitely try to get up there.
And then I'll put my plug in too.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, the best city to eat in is Chicago.
Oh, I haven't been to Chicago yet. I've wanted to, but I've just never had a reason. I know.
Well, I can give you 4 or 5 really good restaurant reasons why you should go to Chicago.
Okay. This podcast is not about the Pittsburgh Steelers anymore. We're just going to talk about steaks that we ate one time 15 years ago. I think, listen, I feel good about where we're at with the Steelers, and
I do too.
I think that you know, the second half is really tough. I'm really excited and looking forward to, for the first time, that they're going to be on Hard Knocks, which they're doing an in-season Hard Knocks with the whole AFC North, and I think that that's going to be fascinating.
I'm looking forward to that as well. Yeah, I am too.
It's weird that it's going to be like that, and it's annoying to me that that's probably why they scheduled all of our division games late in the season. But it's going to be really awesome if they're good. If they end up tanking, it's going to really suck. But if they end up being good,
it's going to be a long second half.
If they end up being good and winning some of those games, I mean, you know, at least going, 4-2 or something in the division, then it'll be cool to watch.
See, that's kind of what I'm hoping, and that's kind of why I'm glad that things have changed now, so we kind of get an idea of what we got now before we get into that that stretch.
You know, I never thought about it this way, but I wonder if it probably didn't, but I'm sure the thought at least went through Tomlin's mind of like how much more magnified that would have been if they went through that quarterback change while that was happening, right? I mean, because that'd be fascinating, because you'd literally have cameras in the room. Like, weird.
You know, that's kind of a... I never even thought of it like that, but...
I can't say it didn't... I mean, I'm not saying it impacted his decision, but it definitely didn't not occur to him, right?
Right. And maybe... But I honestly think it was going to be... The writing was on the wall that as soon as Russell Wilson was healthy and available, that he was going to play.
True.
Right. That was never, as far as I was concerned, and Tomlin came out and he said that in many of his press conferences too, he was only talking about guys that were available.
Right.
Right? Well, Russell Wilson is not available, so he's not going to talk about him.
Right.
When he becomes available, guess what? he's the starting quarterback.
Yeah. No, and it's proven to be a really smart move, and I mean, I can't be any happier with how it worked out. I mean, I'm at this point like ready to commit to Russell Wilson for another year probably. I mean, that's the one thing about the way that they have everything structured now is that they don't have to. I mean, they get to watch him for the rest of the year, and then they'll decide after that. And
yeah, and they don't have to do anything because he's not committed to anything after that. You know what I mean?
And if you do want to bring him back, it's going to cost significantly more money. People forget that he's making $39 million from the Denver Broncos this year. He's going to probably, if he's good, expect something similar to that. Probably $35 million. And
well, I don't think that's what he's going to do. I personally think that he's going to probably want like maybe at least 10 or
you're nuts. You are way out of your are you kidding me? Mahomes and these people are getting 45 annual value.
Okay, well,
average annual value.
Now you're 34 years old. You just got the league minimum from the Steelers
because the Broncos are still paying $39 million. He only took the league minimum. It would have mattered. He wouldn't have signed for $40 million, but he would have still signed for, he would have signed on a prove-it deal this year, no doubt about it. But if he goes and proves it this year, that power goes, sure, you could say partially to the Steelers, but it also goes to him because he's going to say, listen, you brought me in and I instantly transformed your offense and made it the most legitimate threat it's been in the last half a decade. You're going to have to pay me $36 million a year. And they're going to have to because, that is what it is. Or they're going to have to say, all right, no, we're not comfortable doing that. And we're going to pay Justin Fields $18 million or whatever. And do you really feel better about that? I don't think they do. I think they're going to end up signing Wilson to a little 2 or 3 year deal worth.
That's what I'm thinking,
Yeah.
but I just don't know if it's gonna. I don't know what it's gonna be. I'm just speculating.
He's not getting any less if he plays good the rest of the year and they go to the playoffs and even especially if they win a playoff game, he's not taking less than $35 million a year. That's nothing for a starting quarterback of his caliber.
Okay.
So I mean you're gonna have to do it. I mean that's what it costs.
Well, it's either that or you pay half of that for Justin Fields, or you get somebody else, or you draft somebody, or you know what I mean. Like
they're gonna sign him if he finishes out the year healthy and he plays like this. They're gonna sign him. And I mean I don't have any concern about the age now. That he has shown that he can do it and that he can throw the ball and stuff. Like I'm not concerned about that. You could play 2 or 3 more years at a high level.
All right. Okay. I'm with you on that, Mr. Clark.
Yeah.
Eggs are $6 a dozen. Russell's getting $30 million. All right.
Yeah, easily. I mean, it is. I mean, again, he's making $40 million this year. You can't. It's not like he's taking a haircut on the Broncos thing. I mean, he's
right.
He's getting paid.
I don't know. I was just saying. If he plays good, I know they're going to have to re-sign him to at least another 2 or 3 more years.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? Because he's not going to take another 1-year deal.
No, because somebody else will sign him. You're going to tell me,
right?
You're going to tell me some desperate lame duck coach I don't know, the Titans or somebody like that.
The Giants?
Yeah, they're not going to say I'll take. I mean, the Giants almost signed him last offseason. What would be any different?
That's why I said the Giants.
If anything, they're a year closer to getting out of the Daniel Jones thing. I mean, they would sign him in a heartbeat. I mean, he'd be a massive improvement for them. The Colts, maybe, with the Anthony Richardson situation. Somebody, after proving it, that's the thing about giving players a prove-it deal, is that they can prove you right. They can prove you right, or they can prove you wrong. And sometimes the proving you right isn't what you want because they're worth a lot.
Okay. I mean, either way, if he goes out and balls out, I would still pay him. I don't care what he's asking.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Right? Because let's face it, if you had somebody like Roethlisberger on the team, you'd have to be paying them.
Oh, I mean, Ben was making $30+ million until the end, and he was not a $30 million player after the injury. I mean, he just wasn't.
Right.
Mike says 3 years, 100. He's getting the Baker deal. I think that's. I I think that that's pretty reasonable. I think that's about what he would get offered, honestly. Yeah, I know it's a lot of money, but that's not that much for a starting quarterback, though. That's these guys are getting into the 40s, you know. I remember still when 10 million was like, whoa, that's a lot of money for a quarterback, and now I remember 20.
No, the Williams guy that they just picked up has signed a 1-year, $10 million deal to play for the Jets.
Oh yeah,
so we're paying for his.
Yeah.
So we prorate that salary, and now the Steelers pick up that other half.
Yeah.
Right. So, but he signed a 1-year deal for $10 million.
Yeah.
And he's not even a wide receiver one.
No, he's just like a pretty good professional player. Like
right.
Yeah, but they're good wide receivers are always in need. You know.
Exactly. And so that's what I was going to ask you. Do you think he supplants the wannabe receiver Von Jefferson?
I believe you mean the actual receiver. He has transcended from.
Oh, all right. I'm sorry.
He has transcended from hypothetical receiver to theoretical receiver to actual receiver.
All right.
Van Jefferson. And I got to tell you, I'm impressed with Van Jefferson. I think he's a pretty good player. What's his name was going off about him during that Monday night game, Troy Aikman. And he was like, I really like him, even back to when he was in LA, and he was talking about him with the Rams. And, Troy Aikman, I know a lot of Steelers fans, love to talk down on him or whatever. But when he talks, he you could tell he watches a lot of football because he knows stuff about guys that are like second and third string players where you're like, oh, okay, like he's clearly watching this team. And, he was like, I've always been really impressed by this guy. And, I think he looks really good. But I think Mike Williams is going to get more targets if he's healthy for sure. But I think it's just going to be the way that they all fit together. And I think that they're going to rotate. And I think that it's going to give them a lot more options to have somebody on the field with George Pickens's type of ability at all times, because you're not going to have guys running go routes every down. It gets exhausting. And so, having two guys who can do that now, and then you let Van and you let Calvin especially kind of work underneath, and Heith.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Not Heith, Muth. And you can get some stuff done underneath. But they just needed another body. It's not like an amazing deal or anything, but they needed another professional guy who could go out there, and if you had to run a 2-minute offense with 4 wide receivers, like, you could do it,
He's going to be able to make the catch and be veteran enough to know that, hey, I need to step out of bounds to stop the clock, or
whatever. You just needed they needed another
right.
body because they were in
with the trade.
Yeah, because they were in a position where it was okay as it was. Honestly, it ended up being
didn't really cost them anything.
Once we saw Wilson, we were like, okay, you know what? Maybe it felt like a worse situation than it was. But I will say they were in a situation where if Pickens had ever gotten hurt and had to miss any substantial time, their passing game would have been horrible. Because the people don't realize how much he does in terms of like opening things up, because he's the only thing that threatens you. You know what I mean? And so they needed another body. I like the trade. I like both trades. Like I said, you could sit here and be like, oh, I wish it was for a 6, or they, the one thing that I kind of am annoyed by, but I'm guessing they got told no, is Kansas City getting Hopkins for a 5th. I was like, why did they not make that deal? Hold on, that would have been a great deal. That would have been, I would have given a 4th. I don't care how old he is. He's DeAndre freaking Hopkins, dude. I don't know. They must have gotten told no, like, because he's a vet and he wanted to go to the Chiefs. Certain teams. I can't blame if DeAndre Hopkins says he wants to go to the Chiefs. He's a great guy. He's a high character guy. He's always worked hard. Like, no hate.
He's trying to win a ring.
Yeah, he deserves it. If that's what he wanted, he deserves it. But on paper, I was like, Yes, all day. Are you kidding? Like,
Hello?
yeah,
Hello?
yeah,
Oh my gosh. Where's Omar Khan's number? Can you call him up? Can you get him on the
yeah.
phone? Anyway.
Um,
So what do you
yeah,
think now? We're looking at potentially tying it back up again, trying to remain in the tied for the top slot here now with Baltimore, because depending on what happens tonight with Baltimore and playing the Bengals, and then Steelers playing the Commanders 1 o'clock on Sunday.
yeah. So the Steelers, they're still half game up because they have one less loss. I think the Ravens are 6-3 and the Steelers are 6-2. I actually think, I mean, we're recording this before Thursday night football.
Right.
But I think the Bengals are going to get a win tonight. I do.
Well, that's what I'm rooting for too.
It's not even what I'm rooting. I just like both outcomes are positive because Baltimore, yeah, it forces you to keep pace for them for first in the division, but having Cincinnati get close to out of it isn't bad either. They already have 6 losses, I think, right? Are they 3-6?
Yeah.
So I mean, so another loss for them. It's a win-win. It really is.
All right, I'm with you.
I'm fine. I mean, because Baltimore, look, the Steelers are probably not winning the division.
Gonna have to play them.
Yeah, they're probably not winning the division, and if they're gonna win the division, it's gonna be because they beat them twice. And so, I mean, if you're gonna do that, then you're gonna do that. I think Cincinnati is gonna get the win tonight, though. They're just the more desperate team. I think they just need it.
I was going to say they're a little bit more due.
Yeah,
I think
they need
because
it.
of how they played the last couple of weeks, where they've lost some close games and everything like that. I think they're due. That's kind of what I was picking as well. But I do kind of see your point, though, because if Baltimore does beat them, then that just kind of helps to skirt them off to the side and kind of make it more of a 2-horse race.
Yeah,
between
not that I'm ever counting Joe Burrow out, because Joe Burrow is Joe Burrow and he's really good. But I mean, once you get to 7 I think it would be 7 losses. Do they have 6 losses already, or do you have it in front of you?
No, I don't.
I think they're 3-6. Or they might be 3-5. I don't know what it is, but yeah, either way, I mean, I think that the Steelers are in a good position here going in the second half.
So Cincinnati is 4-5.
Oh, 4-5. All right, so that's not bad, but still 4-6. Yeah, I mean, so they get back up to 5.
But they've lost 5 games, and if they lose tonight, that's 4-6.
Yeah,
that puts Baltimore at 7-3.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, we'll see how it goes tonight, but I'm looking forward to it. I think, yeah, it's gonna be a wild second half of the season, man. And the one thing that's really nice is it's not looking like Cleveland's gonna be a part of it.
Now, especially with the injury, I mean, he'll probably miss the season.
They were terrible with him. That is becoming. I mean, that's as bad of a trade. It might be the worst trade in NFL history at this point. I mean,
you mean supplanting the Herschel Walker?
I think it has. I think it has to, because Cleveland. I'll
tell you,
even as a Steelers fan, just like Cleveland was building a thing.
With Mayfield, yeah.
They had a thing building there. They had a quarterback who was in like national commercials. They were like they beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh in the playoffs. I mean, like I don't know.
I mean, that in and of itself is like Super Bowl for them. You know what I mean?
It's just amazing, and I just will never understand. I'll never get that move, and they have just been absolutely screwed because of it. They're gonna have to completely start over because they're not gonna. That cap number is unbelievable, and it's just. Yeah, couldn't have happened to a bunch of nicer people.
What they really did, what really shot them in the foot, was when they fired Belichick.
Well, yeah, that was a little while ago.
Okay, but
yeah.
But think about it for a second, right?
Imagine?
If you turn that table and instead of him being in New England, he's in Cleveland.
Yeah. Well, he was never the coach at the new Browns though. He was the coach at the Ravens before he was at the he was the coach at the Browns that became the Ravens. So he was
Right.
never yeah.
Right.
So I don't know
He
how
was
that
never going to go to Baltimore.
Yeah, but I'm saying that was the franchise. That's technically he worked for a different franchise, right? I mean, I don't know how that history works. I guess he was still technically a Browns head coach, but he was a head coach of the team that became the Ravens, is what I'm saying.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. All right.
But
yeah,
you know, I mean, hey, like AFC North ball, second half of the season. I'm excited.
It's gonna be. I'm really. Look, this is gonna be it. This is gonna be the meat on the bone right here, man. This is what's gonna be the make or break, the deciding factor. This is the whole schmagiggle right here, right? Because if you go into this part of the season and just absolutely lay an egg, right?
No, you're gonna get hit in the mouth. They don't have an easy opponent the rest of the way. They just don't. They have They have an upstart.
They did
Washington.
what they needed to do, Steve, in this part of the season. Mostly. They needed to make the wins that they had so they could go into this part of the season on a high note with more wins than losses.
Mostly. Though I will say, as we're getting zoomed out version of the season. The Colts loss looks terrible. The Colts loss sucked.
Really does.
That sucked. The Cowboys, you know, I say what you want about the Cowboys when they got Dak Prescott. You know.
Yeah, but that game. Yeah, but see, I think that game even might be more of a statement than the Colts because of the fact that they were winning with 4.5 minutes left in the game, and they just let them run down the field.
Okay, but let me ask you, which is more unforgivable? Giving up a 2-minute drive to lose the game to a Pro Bowl quarterback who makes $50 million a year, or being down 17-0 in the first quarter to a backup quarterback? The Colts game is more unforgivable. That's my point. The Dallas game, yeah, you could say the way that game played out, like it's frustrating that they didn't win. But you lost to Dak Prescott, okay? The Colts game, they lost to an ice-cold Joe Flacco off the bench, and they got throttled. And the only reason they even got into it was because Justin Fields was magnificent in the second half.
Okay.
The Colts game is bad. You can't be losing 17. Yeah. You can't be losing 17-0 to nobody. Not if you're a legit defense. They got hit in the mouth, and Tomlin has no idea what to do against that guy because he did it to him last year with Gardner freaking Minshew too. Okay, so Tomlin is clueless against that Shane Steichen guy. That's his new worst nightmare ever since Belichick retired.
Let's not play him anymore then.
Let's not play the Colts.
Let's not go into that town and play that team anymore now.
No. But anyway, I'm off on a tangent. My point is, I'm excited for the second half of the season, and these are the teams that you got to beat if you're going to do anything anyway. I think the Steelers are going to come out and play good this week. I think that I don't see any reason they can't get a win. I think they're going to be able to run all over this team. I think they can control time of possession.
Yeah, I think so too, yeah.
If they can continue to minimize turnovers, I think they just have a formula that works. And, you know, suddenly you get to 7-2 and you start saying, okay, wait a second. A couple weeks ago, I had that thing shift where it was like, nah, I felt like you should win 10. To now you get to 6-2. I'm like, I think you should win 11. You get to 7-2. I'm like, could they win 12?
Well,
yeah, I mean, really, because if you get to 7-2 to go 12-5, all that is 5-3. I mean, that's not even like outstanding. That's just like pretty good. So
that's just pretty good. Hey man, we'll take that all day long. Right?
The future is bright. I think they're gonna play good this week. I think.
I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to some really good games coming up in this half of the, after the bye week and everything. So we're gonna see how this is gonna play out. I'm looking forward to seeing more of the Arthur Smith offense, more of the Washingtons and the Freiermuths getting involved in, especially in the red zone. You know what I mean? I'm really liking what they're doing with the running game and everything else like that. I think you're starting to see the defense they've had a couple of missteps. They've been missing some guys here and there, but I think you're seeing the defense is still a solid, good defense that when they want to, they can clamp it down and you can't do anything against them.
Right.
In almost all the games that they've won, right, the second half, the other team didn't do much.
Yeah.
Because Steelers were like, yeah, no, sorry.
They've been spectacular in second halves of games, both on defense and offense.
Exactly.
The third quarter has been unbelievable. They haven't given up a point in the third quarter this year. That's pretty crazy. And the third quarter, to me, is when you win football games. The third quarter is the most pivotal quarter, in my opinion, because everybody looks at the fourth because it's like, oh, yeah, that's when you get a game-winning touchdown. But the third... for me, like the post halftime is when you set the true course for how the game is going to play out.
I agree.
Because so often halftime creates the biggest shift. The most powerful thing in football, I've said it the whole time I've been doing this show, the double dip. If you can score, even if it's 3 points before halftime, but you're getting the ball first and you can have it 2 possessions in a row, you can turn a tie game or a deficit into a 2-score lead without them ever touching the ball or taking time off the clock or any of that. It's the third quarter is when you win, and the Steelers have been admittedly dominant in the third quarter.
And that's not a bad thing. And, I'm always, look, you always have, especially after orange slices and pretzel rods coming back, for the second half, you that's where the adjustments are. Look, if you look historically back at the Pittsburgh Steelers and you look at Chuck Noll's teams,
yeah,
and you see historically Pittsburgh has been a second half team. Historically, Pittsburgh has been a third quarter, fourth quarter team where you might get up on them on the first and second quarter, but coming back after halftime when the adjustments are made, you're done.
Yep.
Right. And you saw that dominance. And I have a feeling that Steeler football is coming back to that, to where the first and second quarter, they start a little slow. Things are a little bit, hey, you're still kind of shaking the cobwebs out and, you're still getting warmed up. And you come back after orange slices and pretzel rods and you're flying up and down the field.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, but even, this year, even the first quarter, it's not like they've been terrible. They've been pretty good. The defense has settled down in the second half, but honestly, the offense, since the start of the year at this point, has been markedly better, even with Fields, than it was last year. It's exciting. I mean, listen, they're 13th in the league in scoring. Good. I'm good. Like, I mean, that's the kind of thing that's so many people are like, oh, you gotta have the top, it's the top 3, top 4. What we've been saying for so many years is with this defense, if they could just employ a 16th ranked offense, that's the difference between winning 9 games and winning 12 games. It really, I mean, it's crazy. Their average points per game, they're winning on average 23-14 this season. The Steelers are winning. Their average game is winning by 9 this season. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
And the defense, even though they have those 2 games, the defense is still one of the top defenses as far as points allowed.
Right. And they lost both of those games by 3 points. I mean,
so
yeah, I know. It's positive, man.
It's hey, who would have thought that if you look back at this time last year,
I know.
Right? And now look at us where we are now.
Look at us.
Right? It's a whole different 6-2.
It is. It is. It is. It's,
okay, right.
It's drastically different. It is because there's an adult in the driver's seat, and it makes a big difference because children don't have driver's licenses, and
there's a reason why children don't have driver's licenses
because they can't score touchdowns when they get in the red zone. Oh my God, Kenny Pickett, man! Say whatever about Matt Canada. Kenny Pickett's the worst red zone quarterback I've ever seen in my life. It was like pulling teeth. Like, just by happenstance, he should have
Yeah.
gotten more touchdowns. Like, it was unbelievable. It was like doing trigonometry or something. He just,
You know, I could have done a better job as offensive coordinator than Matt Canada.
and the thing is though, Pickett was never between the 20s. It wasn't like he was every moment of the day horrifying. Like he made some decent he made some decent throws here and there. Like, he was fine. He wouldn't have been a great quarterback, but when he got inside the 20, it was like, I mean, it was like trying to solve how to get to Mars. Like, it was impossible. Unbelievable.
How do you get to Mars? Well, not through Kenny Pickett.
Maybe I look directly away from the guy who's wide open. I spin around in a circle, and then I run and get hammered by a linebacker at the 1-inch line. Maybe that's how you score? No, not how you score, Kenny. Throw it to Calvin Austin.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So, oh man, I'll tell you what.
All right, we got to get out of here because now I'm on the Kenny Pickett rant. So, Steel Flyers, what do you want to leave the folks with before we get out of here?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you all for checking us out and tuning in. If you like what you see here, please hit the like and subscribe, man. Really appreciate that. And speaking of liking and subscribing, head on over to the Steel Flyers All Sports Network over on YouTube. Also, check out the webpage at steelflyers.com. Check us out over there, man. We're doing a lot of great stuff. We've done quite a few interviews on Prospect Watch. We just had a show drop tonight. Johnny Hicks, the leading goalie from the BCHL's Brooks Bandits. Kid's got a 1.28 save percentage and 3 shutouts already, and a .946 goals against. That means he's stopping 95% of the shots that he sees.
Awesome.
So, yeah. Draft eligible this year. Check on over to steelflyers.com. Also, check me out on X. And check us out on Facebook and all of your social platforms, as well as Facebook and Instagram. Check us out, man. We really appreciate all your follows and likes and subscribes. Thank you, Steve, for allowing me to be on here, man. Really appreciate it.
Of course, man. Thank you for hanging out and talking Pittsburgh Steelers and cooking tips and all that stuff.
Our therapy session for the night.
We're gonna start a cooking show next week.
You're right.
I do want to do that though. Like when I get a house one of these days, I want to do streams where I actually cook while I talk about the Steelers. Like, I think that would be fun to do.
I have always wanted to do this. I have always wanted to put together a show where, as a chef, game day recipes and tailgating ideas and game day things that you could put together and stuff. Dude, I'm down.
Do it. Let's do it. All right.
Sign me up.
All right. I gotta get the house first, but then we'll do it.
I got the house.
Yeah.
Come on down. Come on down.
All right, folks. Yeah, I mean, look forward to the weekend. Have fun. You know, it's a young, dynamic team in Washington. They're gonna be flying high.
It's gonna be a good game.
They're gonna come out, you know, trying to cook, and you're gonna have to withstand early, you know, early headwinds and just keep it going. But I think that
the course
numbers on paper tell me Najee's gonna have a big game. That team can't stop the run if they just stick to their game plan. Offensive line's gonna be better. Defense will figure it out. Yeah, I feel good about getting the 7-2. And sets us up for 6 AFC North games in the next 7 weeks or whatever, which is absolutely insane.
It's a 5-star matchup because he's in it.
Hey, appreciate that. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for joining us today, and I'll catch you down the road on the next edition of 5 Star Radio.